Okay, Darren, so the purpose of this video is to further analyse whether buying a base level M4 Mac Mini, which comes with 16 gigabytes of memory and 256 gigabytes of hard drive or SSD, is a good idea. So I've had the unit for a few days now. I've tested it quite thoroughly. When you buy a new Mac computer, if you have an old Mac computer, you can move all the apps and everything from your old machine to the new machine quite easily. And that's what I've done. So I had I've got props. So I had my trusty MacBook Air, which comes with also a paltry 256 gigabytes of hard drive. And that nicely matched the paltry 256 gigabytes which I had on this test system. So you install Mac OS and then it calls up Migration Assistant. And Migration Assistant pulled almost 200 gigabytes of information, including all my apps and personalised settings from my existing computer to the new Mac Mini. And that worked perfectly. And I've always got lots of asides, but this is just something you don't get in Windows world. So if you had a Windows computer system and you buy a new Windows computer system and you want to move all the apps and your settings and your data from source to target, that is not a straightforward process. But in the Apple world, it's I suppose it's expected. People don't know that would be impossible because they just do it. Anyway, so I moved all that information across to the new system, tested that the migration system worked, it did fine, and tested most of my apps were fine. So, for example, Microsoft Office, specialised testing and performance apps from the Eclectic Light company also performed well. And so far, there's been basically a flawless experience. Let's just nip into some of the tests that I've made and then we can draw some conclusions at the end. Okay, in this test we are going to test the internet performance. We've got the M4 connected via a wired Ethernet to actually a secondary router which feeds into my primary router and then it's down the fibre. So let's go to my favourite website for testing, and yeah, we're getting a ridiculously good speed result. And let's check the upload speed and latency. Latency 2 milliseconds. Yeah, well, that says it all about Switzerland, doesn't it? Perfection. So we've got a 1 gigabit download speed, 910 megabit upload speed. Now, of course, I'm primarily testing out the internet speed, but I'm telling you that's a damn good result. And Ethernet test has passed with flying colours. Okay, in this test, we're running a disk speed test of the inbuilt SSD. Don't forget, this is the base Kids 256 gigabyte disk version. As you can see, we're getting a read speed of over 2.5 thousand megabytes per second and a write speed of about 2000 megabytes per second. So just for reference, if you had a spinning hard drive, you couldn't really get better than about 200 megabytes per second. So they're getting 10 times the speed of a spinning drive. Of course, in the Windows world, you could get some Gen 5 NVMe drives up to 10,000 megabytes per second. But I really don't think you will physically notice the difference at anything over 1,000 megabytes per second. Even that's quite a big number. So yeah, it's a fast disk. Okay, here we're going to first of all promote the best techie Apple website in the world, and that will be Eclectic Light Company Here is the URL. And from that, you can download a variety of tools and also good techie articles. Well, we're going to go to the proper benchmarking usability, none of your fancy gooey nonsense. We are going to select, have you seen here, I've got a 1 gigabyte size. We're going to read and write, we're going to be verbose about it, and we're not going to use the cache. So I'm going to do read and write, ... I've selected the temp directory, so let me show you where I am. I'm in the system. So that's the root file system of the whole computer, and that's the temp directory. And you'll see it's already made a load of files there. I'm going to hit the right button, and it's doing it. And this is the result here. So if we have a look down here, you'll see that it started at 1850.08. It finished at 1850.13. It's an Apple M4 chip with 10 cores. It's so new that these things aren't fully discovered, I think, by the Stibbium utility. I just downloaded the latest version. Anyway, we're looking at speeds here, which are pretty decent. So according to this, we're getting upwards of 2 gigabytes per second write and a stonking 6 gigabytes per second read. And again, that's without the cache. Okay, in this test, I have created a new iMovie library on the internal SSD. I have dragged and dropped a couple of gigabytes of raw movie footage. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this icon and that will load iMovie. So that loaded quite quickly, and I've gone straight into that 20 gigabyte load, and I'm going to do obviously my iMovie prowess is not well established. I'm going to do file, share. It's off the screen, you can't see it, so I'm going to share file, and we're going to say 2024, it's 13th of November, and it's the ASUS unbox. I'm going to select the quality of ProRes, and you'll see we were up to now 8 gigabytes. I'm going to select better quality. Excuse me. And we're going to do ASUS. It's going to be the output movie. I'm going to save that. And it's off. Here we are. Let's do it in real time, shall we? Let's watch the amazing 8 gigabyte of export of this movie. So don't forget, this is the base level M4 with, I think, 10 CPU cores and 10 GPU cores. And I'm just waffling along, and done. So then we're going to close down Mr. iMovie, and we're going to see that we've just created an almost 8 gigabyte QuickTime movie. Wow. If I double click on that, we'll start to play the movie. This is a good idea. Let's give it a go, shall we? Let's make it a bit smaller. And start playing it. Yeah, so it's working. Let's close that down. So as you can see, created an 8 gigabyte output movie. It was a piece of cake. Just took seconds. Okay, in this part of the video we are going to check the dramatically fast upload potential, I guess based on my internet connection, but also thanks to the Mac Mini M4. We're going to create a new YouTube video. We're going to drag the asus.mov file up there. Don't forget, this is an 8 gigabyte file. When I started in computing in the 1970s, I installed Unix, and it was on 10 360 kilobyte diskettes, so that's not quite 4 megabytes. So the whole of Unix was 4 megabytes, and here I am uploading an 8,000 megabyte file, 8,000 megabytes in 2 minutes. I mean, and things have moved up, haven't they, for the better. Who said IT never goes forward? 2024 1113. This is the Asus. I'll edit the title. I can't remember the name of the exact number of the laptop. Asus laptop unboxing and chat. We'll just give a few things, shall we? Let's add it to this computer, and it's definitely technology. And what's they done? And saving all of that. Oh, I think there's a. I do apologise. I'm going to move the screen. Now I'm professional. Next. Come on, baby. Next. 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 Public. Yeah, there we go. And publish. So I've managed to waffle or talk for about 2 minutes, and we've only got 26 seconds left. I mean, it's just bonkers, So I've just uploaded an 8 gigabyte movie. I can't stop saying it because it's just so amazing. And don't forget the export took about a minute. There we go. 2 seconds, 1 second, uploading finished. Isn't that what being alive in 2024 is all about? I just thought I'd just go into the command line and do a few Unix commands. You know what the hell, we are in Unix after all. Let's run the standard Unix top program. And can I show you that a bit better? Let me move myself out of the picture a little bit. Am I headless yet? So you can see physical memory 15 gigs. Wired memory, some compressed memory, some unused memory. Got the network, which has recently uploaded an 8 gigabyte. We've got various processors running, not much actually running, most is sleeping. Cut out of that. We'll do I don't know, sudo find / print. This command used to do it at trade shows to see if we could slow the system down, but obviously with an SSD it's never going to happen. Here's an example of the write speed from the console. Wow. It's just a fast machine. I'll make it look. It's interesting, yeah. So macOS does have some security gotchas that restrict the ability, even when you've got sudo root access. It won't allow you to do it won't allow the terminal app to go to certain areas of the system without you clicking on an allow button. It's pretty clever sometimes, isn't that macOS? Control C should get me out. Okay. Okay, so the conclusions of the testing that I performed and my overall impressions are that the standard base level M4 Mac Mini is a decent machine. In most territories it comes in at $599, be it pounds or francs or dollars. If you are an education buyer, you'll be lucky to get some discount from that. I'm not, so I paid the full retail $599, and yeah, I've been favourably impressed. So part of my recommendation to buy is, first of all, that it's a very compact package. The machine is including a power supply, which is basically unheard of in the PC world. Because in the PC world, Intel chips are power hungry by comparison, and therefore need a larger power supply. And that larger power supply is normally external to the mini PC. But on the Mac Mini, it's tiny, and half of the unit, the bottom half, is actually the power supply. The motherboard sits above that, and the entire unit, therefore, just has a 2-pin plug with the power supply inside the unit. So, in terms of physical form factor, this unit is just beyond compare with any Intel mini PC device, I would say. And it obviously beats the prior Mac Mini in terms of its volumetric size. So that gets a thumbs up. In terms of performance, either the Wi-Fi performance, I got over not shown in my testing, but I got over 400 megabits per second connected to my close, quite proximate Wi-Fi access point. So, I mean, that's a pretty fast speed. And the gigabit Ethernet was also tested, and that worked absolutely fine. So again, no complaints there. In terms of performance, you saw I could start iMovie and write an 8 gigabyte file in under 1 minute to the inbuilt SSD. Obviously, if you are a creative professional, you might choose not to have a base spec machine, but then the price starts to rocket. So the focus of this video is to just concentrate on that base spec machine. I've got comments on the higher models at the end. So the base level machine is certainly capable of iMovie and rendering your movies and uploading them. Again, one of the tests was to upload an 8 gigabyte movie, admittedly over our fast internet connection, and that happened in literally minutes. It's just bonkers. In 2024, what a year to be living in. I've tested other things like multiple browsers, so I've tested Firefox and Chrome and DuckDuckGo. I've tested Spotify, I've tested messaging, I've tested the ability to link your iPhone and have handoff between the phone and your iPhone and the computer, and that works as it would normally do on an Apple subsystem flawlessly, so that, for example, messages that come through on your phone can be shown directly on the screen. I've tested with WhatsApp, Signal, Blue Sky social networking that I've recently joined because an increasing number of people think, I won't give my personal opinion, but an increasing number of people think that the X platform should be best avoided. So all apps that I have tested work. I do note that with Sequoia 15.1, people have said that you can't run unsigned apps. You can still run apps that have not been explicitly promoted to be able to run on a system. You have to go into security settings. So, for example, I have some security tools that aren't signed specifically, and they did run. Okay, it's a bit of a faff to get them working. That's kind of an aside. That's something that Apple is trying to make you put all apps through the App Store, and their long or medium-term goal is to disallow you from running anything that's not from the App Store. Something that Microsoft would like to do, but it's never going to manage to do. But Apple are close to it, so beware. But that's nothing to do with the M4 Mac Mini, but it is something to consider. I guess if you're moving from a Windows platform to an Apple platform, Apple is very restrictive of everything, and might catch you out if you don't watch out in the future. Again, that's an aside, so to speak. So I've not found a single limitation so far on this M4 Mini in the last couple of days of testing. So I would give it complete thumbs up for your entry level user, who I believe is only going to use a browser anyway, like 90% of the time. And then in this case, this machine is complete and utter overkill, but it's the base machine that Apple do. So if you are a power user, you might choose to upgrade your Mac Mini to a higher spec version. So instead of the M4 chip, you can use the M4 Pro chip. And the best you can do on the Mac Mini is a 14 core, 20 GPU core, 16 neural core system. And if you configure that, you'll find out that you will exceed £2,000. So I spec'd it out with, say, something like 48 gigabytes of memory and 1 terabyte hard drive, and the price shot through the 2,000 GBP barrier. So if you feel like that's the kind of spec that you need, bear that in mind. The Mac Mini suddenly becomes not the bargain you might have thought it was going to be, and the price is going to be raised over £2,000. And as I've commented in a previous video, you can beat that specification by going to a MacBook Pro. So if you want an M4 Max chip, the only way to do that is not to use a Mac Mini, and you have to go for a MacBook Pro laptop. And with a MacBook Pro laptop, you can get to 16 cores, 40 cores of GPU, and 16 neural cores. And the standard MacBook Pro comes with 14 cores, so the same number of cores as the Mac Mini Pro version, but 32 GPU cores. So, slightly ironically to me, if you want the most powerful M4 system at the moment, you need to buy a MacBook Pro laptop. And again, that would come with 16 cores, 40 GPU cores, and 16 neural cores. And Apple will gladly relieve you of over £3,000 for the 14-inch model. The base Mac Mini is $599 in British pounds, GBP. A bumped up spec Mac Mini is about £2,000. And for the ultimate performance, you need to ditch the Mac Mini and go for a MacBook Pro, and that's about £3,000 at least. So the best value is currently the Mac Mini base model, and my testing shows that it's a decent performer for Mr. and Mrs. regular user, even a small power user doing a little bit of video editing. It is absolutely fine. It won't get you any bragging points in the pub, but then if you say to people in the pub, oh, my Mac Mini's got 24 gigs of memory or 48 gigs of memory, people probably won't compliment you anyway. So yeah, base Mac Mini, I think it's a decent device. I would go for it, and if you need to expand it, again, it's got those Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back, and you can buy a Thunderbolt 4 dock to which you could attach multiple displays, rather than going by the Thunderbolt displays that Apple would sell, which are bonkersly expensive, by the way. So using a Thunderbolt dock, you could attach, say, multiple HDMI or DisplayPort displays, and you could attach more peripherals, and you could attach disc peripherals, Thunderbolt discs and things like that. So that's your expansion route, even with the base Mac Mini. The only thing you might be a bit stumped on is the memory, but it does have 16 gigs now, and that is a big step forward. Okay, that's it. Now you know everything.